Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel from Meticulous Digital, and in this demo, I want to show you how you can use Universal Editor with classic AEM components that are built with HTML and Sling. And let's start with looking at that perspective, actually, and list all the things that you need to do in terms of like configuration and component instrumentation to make classic AEM components work and make them editable in the Universal Editor. So I'm going to open up a really simple sample project. You will see all of the classic AEM modules that you should be familiar with. And we're going to start by looking at the three configurations you need to add to make your page editable with Universal Editor. So the first one we're going to look at is the Universal Editor URL service implementation, which is a service that basically allows us to define which pages should open in the Universal Editor when the editor clicks the edit button. So there are two ways to define this, either with a content path. In this first example, you can see we have /content/demo, or using a resource type saying that every page with this resource type should open in the Universal Editor. Secondly, when the Universal Editor loads the page, it loads it in an iframe. So we need to actually remove one configuration from the Sling main servlet config. So if you check this configuration, you will notice it is missing xframe options equals same origin. So that's the config we need to remove from here to make our page load in the Universal Editor using an iframe. And the last piece of configuration we need to add is this token same set cookie attribute. We need to make it equal to none. This is done in the token authorization handler, and this is to allow Universal Editor frame to log us in. Otherwise, without this configuration, login wouldn't work. So next, let's have a look at the components. We're gonna look at a sample component, a teaser component. And basically here is our HTML, and let's see which additional things we need to add to make it editable with AEM. So the first thing is we will need to set a data attribute, actually a couple of them, but this first one is actually defining a connection to AEM and saying which is the path to the resource where the Universal Editor should store this content. Then the next one we need to define is the type of the component, and there are basically just two options. Either it's a standard component or it's a container where to place other components. Then we can define the model, and the model is going to be teaser. I'm going to come back to the model configuration later. So this is just the ID of the model, and the model definition is somewhere else. The label is going to be what Universal Editor will show as the label. And then for any of the properties, like here we have title, which is going to be a type of text, and it's going to have its own label, right? If you take a look at another example, like the image below, it's going to have a different property name and a different type. But basically, it follows like the same logic, and you just need to set this data attributes, and that's everything Universal Editor needs to know how to load your component. If we look at a container component, it's going to have a type container, and it's going to have an ID to a filter. Again, I'm going to come to the filter definitions a little bit later, so it's going to be clear how this ID maps to a component filter. Okay, that's basically everything you need to do with your components, but you need to add a couple of more things in your page head. So let's have a look at that. Let's have a look at those scripts that you need to add in the page head. And we, of course, only add this on the author instance because there we need it for editing. First, you will need to add a script that is called course.js, which allows like Universal Editor to communicate with the frame where you're going to load this page in. So this one is the requirement, and you need to add one more meta tag that is defining the connection to AEM. So here we have a link to our AEM author instance. And then we have three types of special scripts: component, model, and filter JSON. So these are three things that you can use to configure Universal Editor. So the component JSON basically defines a group of components, and every component should have a title, should have an ID, and basically a link to a resource type in AEM to connect and map this component from the DOM to the actual resource type or component in AEM. So we do this for all the components we want to use in the universal editor. Then in the model JSON, here is where we define all the properties that we want editable in the universal editor's properties rail. So for our example teaser component, we're going to have a text field and a title field. Both are going to be of type text input. They're going to have a name and a label and the type that is going to be used to store the value, right? So for the image, it will be exactly the same, except the component type is going to be different because here we want to actually pick content from AEM. So we use the component of type AEM content, and you can of course find all the supported types in the Adobe documentation. One last thing we should define is the filter JSON. And this is a very simple configuration that just defines like which components can be placed in which container. So in our example, we showed you the root container, and we allow to add two types of component, either teaser or link container within that component, and that's basically everything you need to make your classic AEM component like a teaser and a root container work with Universal Editor. Right, so time to take a look how this looks from an editor perspective. So I'm just gonna log into my AEM dev instance, same as a cloud service, and I'm gonna just open my home page. And when I click the edit button due to configurations we added, it's gonna open a new tab in the Universal Editor for me. And it's gonna log me in automatically since I'm already logged into my AEM. And there we go. This is my teaser component, and this is my sample page loading in the Universal Editor. As you can see, I can see all the components. I can click on the different components and basically start editing them. So let's look at the content tree. We see we have our root container, we have our teaser component. It has a couple of properties, and we have a link container that accepts links as subcomponents. So basically covering all the basics. I can do inline editing if I double click on any of the textual properties, so I can easily change it. If I click anywhere outside, it is automatically stored in AEM, and I can continue editing other things. So when we click on the properties, this is actually the properties rail. Let me first just show you that I can also edit textual properties here, similar to like we do in dialogues in classic AEM. Click anywhere outside, and the value is automatically stored in our AEM. For images, we can use like the standard content pickers. So this works very similar. Also like in the page editor. So you can just select your image from AEM assets, and there it is. It reloads quickly, and you get this. What you see is what you get. Editing experience. So if I click on the root container, I can add either a teaser or a link container component in it. So let's try adding a new teaser. And let's fill it in with some data. So I'm gonna first select an image from them. I'm gonna insert the text. Then I'm gonna insert a title, and I can already see on the left side how my preview is loading, and all the data that I put in is stored in AEM, and my live preview is just here, and my teaser component added to the page tree. I can also duplicate this component. So there we have it. It's quite fast. Go back to the root and add a link container. If we add a link container, then we are supposed to not duplicate it, but add some links to it. Let's delete this one. Click on the link container again and add some links to it. So I'm gonna add two links. There's one more, and I'm just gonna set some properties so you see how the editing experience works with Universal Editor. So let's call this link 1. Let's provide a dummy URL, and let's go back to the content tree, select the second link, and also put in some data. Since I didn't define any defaults, let's just call this one link 2, add a dummy link as well. And there we go. Let's see, we are let's say we're happy with editing our page, and we are happy with the content tree, how it looks now. Let me just show you that nothing here is faked, and let's actually go to CRXDE and show you that all of this content that we were editing was actually stored in my AEM as a cloud service author instance. So here is CRXDE. Let's go to content. Let's find our demo page here. So US, English, content, and we have a couple of containers here until we find our components. Here they are. This is the last link container we added. We see it has 2 links, and we see actually the values that we just now entered, link 1 and link 2. And for the teaser, we see the values of text, title, and image that we've selected. Lastly, I just want to show you that this is an actual component, AEM component, classic AEM component. So I'm just going to go to the link add.html, and this is how the page looks if you open it in AEM without opening it in the universal editor. So you see it's a classic AEM component. Yeah, and that's it for the demo today. If you are thinking about adopting Universal Editor, it is really important to mention that you might want to consider combining it with a modern front-end approach like Edge Delivery Services or a headless hybrid approach with Next.js. We are basically specializing in helping clients steer like this changing kind of technology space in AEM and selecting the right fit front-end technology and editor experience. So in that case, make sure you reach out to us. And yeah, thanks for listening in. See you in the next demo.